Welcome to a webinar on why on earth should I work my way off SSDI? Why losing benefits can be giving yourself a hand instead of shooting yourself in the foot. There are 4 learning objectives for this webinar. First, to explain why many people who get Title II benefits are reluctant to work their way off cash benefits. Second, to categorize people's willingness to consider working their way off Title II cash benefits, using 3 color profiles, green, yellow, and red, to describe people's motivations about benefits. Third, to identify different work incentive advisement strategies for each of the 3 color profiles. And fourth, to apply the strategies through a couple of case studies. Now, most people who get cash benefits from the Social Security Administration, Title II benefits, these would be SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance a person gets on his or her own work record, a childhood disability benefit, also known as CDB, and alternatively known as Disabled Adult Child, or DAC, and finally Disabled Widows and Widowers benefits. The person who gets those benefits generally can hardly imagine working their way off the cash benefits. Many people had to wait long and fight hard to get those benefits in the first place. Only a little more than 30% of people who apply for those benefits are initially approved. For people who are denied, they usually have to appeal twice at least to get benefits. And it can take easily more than 2 years for them to eventually get benefits if they were denied on the first try and had to get them on appeal. They also, in many cases, will hire lawyers that can consume 25% of the retroactive benefit they get. And what are people supposed to live on while they're waiting to get approved for benefits? If they're lucky enough to have had life savings, they may have spent most or all of their life savings just surviving until they get those benefits. If they're not lucky enough to have life savings, then they may have to really sacrifice and scramble just to get by until their benefits start. So once benefits start, people often breathe a deep sigh of relief and think, great, now I've got guaranteed income. I no longer have to wait and fight. But here's the dirty little secret about Title II benefits. They can be a source of guaranteed poverty. If an individual refuses to work at all, or refuses to earn more than the SGA level, which was $1,220 a month for non-blind people and $2,040 a month for blind people in 2019, in order to avoid losing their cash benefits, it's like taking a vow of poverty. They will never have income above the poverty line or very much above the poverty line. Trying to limit earnings or not work at all to protect those benefits is definitely a poverty trap. If a person decides that she or he is willing to work off Title II cash benefits, then the sky is the limit. They can earn as much as they want. They no longer need to worry constantly about whether their earnings are above or below SGA. So what can you do as a benefit to work coach? Well, you're going to want to give every person you serve who receives Title II benefits enough information to make an informed choice about whether or not they choose to work their way off cash benefits. Now, for some people, it's a good idea to explain the benefits of full-time work quickly, and the person is likely to decide promptly that they want to work their way off benefits. Other times you want to approach this topic with caution. You don't want to charge into the subject of working at a level that will stop cash benefits from Title II. And still other times, you need to go very slowly, be extremely cautious. There are some people who can't even listen to you if you even mention the possibility of their losing any cash benefits, at least initially. So the way that you want to proceed in explaining people's options depends on their motivations, their hopes, and their fears about those benefits. And that's where profiling comes in handy. We're looking at a benign form of profiling that's actually positive and that helps you identify which approach to take. First are the green or go people. These are people who are highly motivated to work, who want to earn as much as they can, or automatically assuming that they want to work full time. They are usually willing to lose cash benefits. Some people even want to lose the cash benefits. They never wanted the benefits in the first place. They regard them as charity, and they would just as soon work their way off them. Many green people value their independence and often mistrust government, or they simply want to get a better standard of living than they can get with Social Security benefits. And as I said, they're often willing to work full-time right from the start and lose their Title II benefits. Many of them, believe it or not, would be willing to work full-time, get just their earnings, have their SSDI or other Title II benefits stop, then to work part-time below SGA and keep their Title II benefits, even if they would have more income working part-time with cash benefits than working full-time without cash benefits. There are some people who are content to work full-time without cash benefits as long as they'd have more money than they would not working and receiving only Title II benefits. Moving on to the yellow or cautious people. Well, yellow people want to work, they want to see their incomes go up, but they're much more cautious about losing benefits, including Title II cash benefits that they've come to rely on. Many of them would be willing to consider having some of their benefits, including Title II benefits, stop, maybe in the future more so than right away. But they want to know if they were to do that, what safety nets would they have available to them? Yellow people want to know, generally, that if they work their way off cash benefits, that they will have much more money than if they worked fewer hours, part-time generally, kept their earnings below SGA, and kept their cash benefits. That's an essential calculation for yellow people. Am I going to have a bigger bottom line if I work full-time without Title II, or if I work part-time and keep Title II? Now, if yellow people are considering earning enough to have their Title II cash benefits stop, they definitely want to know that there's an easy and quick way to get them back if anything happens to their job later. And they want to know that even though their cash benefit may stop, that their medical benefits can continue while they're working. Finally, the red or stop people don't take any chances with their benefits. Many are absolutely terrified of losing any benefits, particularly the Title II cash benefits. Many people in the red zone are afraid to work at all. Some are afraid to work even if they understand what the rules are about the impact of work on benefits they get. You've heard of Murphy's Law. Well, many red people believe that Murphy worked for Social Security. Many people in the red zone believe that even if a benefit is just reduced and not stopped, that they'll be on a fast and slippery slope to perdition, and that eventually they will lose the entire cash benefit no matter what the rules say. So if red people are willing to work at all, as long as they're in the red zone, they're not even going to consider the possibility of losing Title II benefits. And it's a good idea not to even mention it to them, at least at first. Every red person has heard horror stories about people going to work, losing benefits, not being able to get them back if they later lost their jobs, having huge overpayments, etc. So it's important for red people to see good things happen to them regarding benefits to help overcome their fears. Now, these colors don't always appear alone. You can find people's color profiles can mix. It's not uncommon to find orange people, or sort of a blend of yellow and red, and chartreuse people, or a blend of green and yellow. Because sometimes green people initially might be raring to go, willing to work their way off cash benefits, but when it gets to the point where their benefits are actually going to stop, they become more reluctant, more into the yellow zone. Sometimes people who are clearly in the red zone, just terrified of losing benefits, may, with your help, eventually think differently, may move more towards the yellow zone. Now, in this color spectrum, yellow is the most common color that you'll find if a person is solidly in the yellow zone, or if they're sort of blended with green or red. So it's generally a good idea to use a strategy for explaining the impact of different earnings levels on Title II payments to show people whether they'll be better off financially working full-time without Title II benefits than they would be working part-time and keeping Title II, and to underscore those work incentives that let them keep their medical benefits even though their cash benefits have stopped due to work, and to be able to get their cash benefits back again fairly quickly and easily if they work their way off them and then later their job stops or their earnings are reduced. So let's talk about some benefits advisement strategies for each of the three groups. For green people who are raring to go, just want to work, preferably full-time, the most important guidance is serve them quickly. They want to work, they don't want to wait around. Show them that they're going to be better off financially if they work, preferably full-time, than if they don't. It's not as important to show them that they'd have more money working full-time without cash benefits than working part-time and keeping cash benefits. You do want to highlight the advantages of full-time work. A person might be able to get additional health coverage, paid leave, perhaps retirement plans, etc. Those are all factors in a person making a truly informed choice about whether to work full-time or part-time. For green people, you do want to review the relevant work incentives, but oftentimes you just need to provide them with one quick overview of those work incentives because they won't much care. You can show people that they can continue to get cash benefits for up to a year while working full-time. That's if they have not already used up their trial work period and their grace period. I want to show them that after their cash benefits have stopped, they can get them back again quickly and easily if their earnings later drop low enough, below SGA, or they stop work, and let them know that they can keep their Medicare even after they've worked their way off their Title II cash benefits. And if a person might benefit from using freedom to work to get or keep Medicaid, you want to show them that as well. For yellow people, the advisement strategy is a bit more complicated. If the person is really reluctant to quickly work his or her way off cash benefits, you may want to start by focusing on how much a person can work, how many hours they can work, how much they can earn while still keeping Title II benefits. In that case, particularly after the person has used up their trial work period, you want to help them keep their earnings below SGA. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have gross wages below the SGA level. They could be using IRWs, impairment-related work expenses, or subsidies and special conditions, which are subtracted from their earnings. And if the difference after subtractions is below the SGA level, then that means their countable wages are below SGA, and they will likely be able to keep their Title II cash benefits. If a person may want to use IRWs or subsidies, remember to refer them to a benefits planner. Secondly, if the person is going to consider either now or in the future possibly working full-time with earnings above SGA so that their Title II benefits would stop, you want to be sure that you're showing them a comparison that indicates that full-time work without Title II cash benefits would give them a higher bottom line than part-time work while keeping cash benefits. Third, you can use the benefits and work estimator results to highlight positive results, higher net incomes, freedom to work eligibility, etc. If a person shows any interest in earning enough to stop their Title II cash benefits, you want to emphasize the work incentives that would let them get their cash benefits back again quickly and easily without having to reapply if their earnings later fell below SGA or stopped. So that's going to be the extended period of eligibility, or EPE, and expedited reinstatement, or EXR. You want to highlight the work incentives that would protect their Medicare even if they work their way off cash benefits. So that's the extended period of Medicare coverage and premium health insurance for working disabled. And finally, remember, if a person is going to be working at an earnings level that could stop their Title II benefit, in other words, gross wages at or above the SGA level, you want to refer them to a benefit planner. And finally, strategies for the red people. So remember, with red people, the biggest challenge right off the bat is to persuade them that they should work at all. They don't even want to hear anything about the possibility of losing benefits. So initially, you may want to focus on work incentives that protect benefits, increase income, or reduce out-of-pocket costs. For example, the benefits and work estimator can show them that if their earnings are below SGA, they'll keep their full Title II benefit. They may be able to use the earned income tax credit to get a larger tax refund. You need to win over red people. They're scared. They don't trust the information they're given because of their fear. And you want to show them good things happening with the help of work incentives. Freedom to work is a really good one to show this group of people. If people see good things happen with their benefits with your help, then they'll begin to trust you. You have to earn their trust, however. When they trust you, they're more likely to trust the information you provide about more difficult issues later. So you want to highlight the positive results using the benefits and work estimator. Sometimes it helps to connect a person who's in the red zone or their family with another individual or family that had been in the red zone previously, but gradually overcame their fears and explored work and saw good things happen. If somebody can see that it worked for someone else who is just as fearful as they are, they're generally a lot more likely to consider it than if you, a benefit to work coach, tell them. They need to hear this from somebody who's been there in many cases. Now, if people gradually have their fears begin to melt, then you can slowly move away from these strategies into the yellow strategies. Now, here is something that you should never do as a benefit to work coach. You never want to show a person a comparison of different earnings levels that would indicate they should not work full-time. And here's an example. Jasmine receives $1,000 a month SSDI and earns an average of $1,083 a month gross wages, working 25 hours a week at $10 an hour. So her total monthly income is $2,083 a month. That's the $1,000 of SSDI and the $1,083 a month average gross wages added together. Now, if Jasmine worked full-time and earned $10 an hour, her average gross monthly wages would be $1,733. That's based on $10 an hour, 40 hours a week, and 4.33 weeks in an average month. So with that level of earnings, unless she had a tremendous amount of ERWIs and subsidies, her SSDI benefit would be suspended, would stop after her trial work period and her 3-month grace period had ended. So if you're going to show her a comparison of her current 25-hour-a-week job and a full-time job at the same earnings level, same hourly rate, it would look something like this. Not working, her net income would just be the $1,000 of SSDI. Working 25 hours a week at $10 an hour, because her wages would be below the $1,220 SGA amount. She would keep her SSDI. She'd be paying about $106 a month in taxes. She'd be paying the Medicare Part B premium. And her net income after those subtractions would be over $1,800 a month. She'd have a lot more money than she does not working. And it would be pretty easy to persuade her that she's better off working 25 hours a week. But working 40 hours a week, which would almost certainly be SGA, her SSDI would be suspended. It would go down to 0 after her trial work period and grace period had ended. She'd have only the $1,733 gross wages, and after paying $255 a month, give or take, for taxes, she would not have to pay the Part B premium in this scenario. Her net income would be less than $1,500 a month. This comparison chart is like putting up a billboard that tells Jasmine she should not work full-time. And that's a mistake. What you can do as an alternative is show Jasmine what would happen if she had a full-time job and made a higher hourly wage. For example, what would happen if she could earn $16 an hour? Then your comparison chart would look more like this. The first 2 columns are the same as with the previous chart. $1,000 net income not working, $1,841.50 a month, working 25 hours a week. But now the third column has changed. Instead of working 40 hours a week at $10 an hour, she's working 40 hours a week at $16 an hour. That gives her average gross wages of $2,773 a month. She'd certainly be doing SGA then, and after her trial work period and grace period were over, her SSDI would stop. But even after paying $503 a month in taxes, she'd have $2,270 a month left over in net income, which is more than $400 more than she would have in net income if she worked 25 hours a week, earning $10 an hour. This comparison holds out promise for Jasmine that she really could be better off working full-time, even without the cash benefit, than working part-time and keeping SSDI. Now, Jasmine may not be in a position to get a job earning $16 an hour at this point. But if you showed her the comparison on the previous slide, and she realized, hey, I really could be better off working my way off SSDI, then she might decide to get additional training, education, technology, whatever she needed in order to be able to earn $16 an hour. Now, even if she never chooses to earn that much or is never capable of earning that much, at least you will have planted a seed and shown her that she could be better off financially, because she cannot make a truly informed decision about whether to work full-time or not unless she's given information that shows her how she could be better off without cash benefits. And finally, we're going to go through a couple of examples. These were actually based on real people whose names have been changed. First is Josiah, who receives $864 a month SSDI and Medicare. He's 26 years old, he's not married, has no kids. He's offered a full-time job with an auto company. His average gross wages will be $2,700 a month, and he'll pay about $300 a month for work-related transportation. He's not worried about losing his SSDI cash benefits at all. He's a little concerned about his Medicare stopping because he needs that for medical services. So 2 questions for you. First, which color profile matches Josiah, and which earnings options would you show him? Take a moment to give that a little thought. And if you said Josiah appeared to meet the green color profile, I would agree with you. And which earnings options would you show him? Well, you can show him his options not working at all, not receiving any earnings and just getting SSDI, and working in the full-time job he was offered. What you probably wouldn't need to show him is an option where he'd be working part-time and keeping SSDI, because he wants to work full-time and does not mind having the SSDI stop. So showing Josiah those 2 options in a comparison chart like this, you'd see that his net income receiving only SSDI and not working would be $864 a month. His net income working full-time, making $2,700 a month gross wages, even after his trial work period and grace period were over and his SSDI had been suspended, and even after he'd be paying $300 a month for work-related transportation and an estimated $495 a month in taxes on his earnings, his net income would still be over $1,900 a month. Way better off than not working. And in reality, this was more than enough to satisfy Josiah that he should work full-time, and he did. The second example is Kara, who gets $1,100 a month of SSDI and Medicare. She's already been working for several years, earning $16 an hour, and she was working 14 hours a week to keep her average gross wages at $970 a month. She was nervous about earning enough to have her SSDI and Medicare stop. Really had been doing all she could to avoid that, which is why she was working only 14 hours a week. You'll note here that Kara was keeping her earnings not only below the $1,220 a month current SGA level for 2019, she was actually trying to keep her earnings below $1,000 a month, because years ago someone told her she needed to keep her earnings below $1,000 a month to be below SGA. Kara drives about 350 miles a month for work using her adapted car. Now, work-related mileage for an adapted vehicle is allowed as an IRWI, an impairment-related work expense, by Social Security, and they did approve the work-related mileage on her modified vehicle as an IRWI. They took the number of work-related miles she drove per month and multiplied it by 58 cents a mile. And that totals an IRWI of $203 a month. Now, Kara's employer would like her to work full-time and told her that if she worked 40 hours a week, she'd be able to get $20 an hour instead of only 16. She would also, working full-time, get benefits. She'd get paid leave and a retirement plan, a 403B plan, which is a typical retirement plan for a nonprofit agency to offer. Now, working full-time, she'd be driving twice as much each month for work, about 700 miles a month. So 2 questions for you. First, which color profile matches Kara? And which earnings options would you show her? And Kara's color profile is yellow. She really doesn't want to lose her cash benefits lightly, wants to keep her Medicare, but she's already working and she's been willing to listen to what would happen if she worked full-time. You'd want to show her 3 earnings options: her current level of earnings, working only 14 hours a week. Secondly, you want to show her that she could work more hours and still be below SGA thanks to the IRWI she has for work-related mileage on her modified car. And then finally, show her what her situation would look like if she worked 40 hours a week and earned $20 an hour, which her employer has offered her. And if you showed her those 3 options, they would look something like this comparison chart. If she works only 14 hours a week and is paid $16 an hour, she can keep her $1,100 of SSDI because her gross wages would be well below SGA, only $970 a month she'd be earning. After paying for the $203 a month of mileage expenses, about $87 a month for taxes, and the Medicare Part B premium, her net income would be $1,644 and change. Now, I played around with the numbers a little bit and noted that if she worked 19 hours a week at $16 an hour, her average gross wages would be $1,316 a month. That's above SGA. But after subtracting the $203 a month IRWI she's got for the work-related mileage on a modified vehicle, the difference would be below SGA, $1,316 a month gross wages minus a $203 IRWI. The countable wages would be only $1,113 a month, which is well below $1,220, and she'd be able to keep her SSDI then. So showing her working 19 hours a week shows just how many hours she could work while still keeping her SSDI, by keeping her countable wages below SGA. She'd be paying the same amount for mileage. She'd be paying more in taxes, about $174 a month, still paying the Part B premium, and her net income would be a little over $1,900 a month. So right off the bat, Kara can see that she can afford to work up to 5 hours more per week and still keep her SSDI, and that she'd have significantly more money if she did that. Finally, if she worked that 40-hour-a-week job at $20 an hour that her employer has offered her, her average gross wages would be $3,464 a month. She'd be way over SGA then, and her SSDI would certainly stop. She's been working long enough that her trial work period has been used up, and she'd have only a 3-month grace period left. She'd have twice the mileage expense because she'd be driving twice as many work-related miles. Her taxes would be substantially higher, about $678 a month. She'd continue to pay the Medicare Part B premium, but her net income, even after all those expenses, would be $2,244 and change each month. So it would be close to $3,500 more per month than if she worked 19 hours a week and stayed below SGA to keep her SSDI. Now, in addition to having more net income, several $100s more, remember, if she works full-time, Kara gets 2 additional benefits: paid leave time and that 403B retirement plan. That can sweeten the pot and persuade Kara that she really might be considerably better off working full-time without Title II than working part-time with her Title II benefit. Now, of course, Kara needs to know about the work incentives that would let her keep her Medicare, possibility of using freedom to work to get Medicaid, and options for her to get back on SSDI if she worked her way off it, and then later something happened to her job, if it stopped or her earnings dropped back below SGA. So your mission regarding this issue is to reach green people quickly and help them work generally full-time if that's their choice. Secondly, for yellow people, you want to support them to work more than they otherwise would, maybe initially help them keep their countable earnings below SGA, and have them consider working their way off Title II eventually, maybe not right away, by showing them that they could be better off financially doing that. And third, you want to soften the resistance of red people. Persuade them they can work, they can be better off, they can avoid losing benefits, and maybe down the road they consider possibly even working their way off benefits, but probably much later. Now, if you think it won't work, think again. It is definitely true that most people who get Title II will choose to keep their earnings below SGA and keep their Title II cash benefits no matter what you tell them. But a a significant minority of people you work with will at least consider working full-time above SGA and working their way off Title II. They'll be much more likely to do that if you show them that they can really be better off financially and that they have those safety nets to keep their medical benefits and be able to get their cash benefits back again later if anything happens to their earnings. If you reach people early enough in their decision process about earnings levels, about work goals, some people will use this information to choose higher earnings goals. Some will even decide, well, rather than starting work right away or maybe concurrent with working, I'm going to get additional training, education, or technology so that I'm going to be better off working my way off Title II benefits. Once people work their way off Title II, they actually enjoy a greater measure of freedom because they don't have to worry about keeping their earnings below SGA. And what happens if they don't have enough earlies or subsidies this month? What happens if their employer gave them extra hours because somebody else was out sick? That's a game they won't have to play again. Thank you very much for participating in this webinar.